Yeah, it's about 7 a.m. I've been getting up quite early recently, going to bed earlier as well. Um, I want to touch on a contentious subject, and as I always say with videos like this, please watch as far as you can. That's all I ask. Even if you don't watch the whole video, just watch as far as you can, because I don't want people to jump to conclusions in the comment section when they haven't actually listened to what I've said. I've seen that happen occasionally, and it's a bit irritating. Um, so yeah, particularly this subject because in our politically correct society, people can often hear a segment of something and then jump to conclusions. Anyway, I came across a post that a guy that I know to be an Islamist because I've seen his views on many things. This is on the British and Global Muslims for Secular Democracy, and this guy's a blatant Islamist. He's constantly trying to sabotage what secular democracy means as a concept, and he seems to be determined to provide examples of that. So let me just say from the outset, the issue, by the way, I'm going to be talking about is LGBT issues and Islam in relation to secular democracy, and a number of issues around that, such as the schools protests and other things. Um, So this guy had like a photo caption. I don't think mem's the right word. It was a photo caption. Three of the photos showed young boys. Now these boys can't have been more than 7 or 8 years old. They may have been older, but they certainly had very feeble sort of figures, like young children. The fourth photo showed a transvestite teaching in a kindergarten. The first three photos showed these young boys at a pride event. I'm not sure where the location is. I think I've seen this before. It's either Madrid in Spain or somewhere in Brazil. Might be Rio de Janeiro. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it's from a Latin country anyway. But he was trying to argue, oh, well, this is what secular democracy does. It sexualizes young children. Well, first of all, that's an immediate flaw in the guy's argument because you can find plenty of examples of exploitation of children in Islamic states. Take, for example, young girls, 10-year-olds, married to old men, and by old men I mean old, 80-year-olds in Yemen. One report from The Guardian 2013 said that this young girl, in this particular case, actually died from internal bleeding on the night of her marriage. Now, that is an absolute disgrace. It's blatant child exploitation. Just a quick word, by the way. Recently, The Guardian's been putting very clearly the years of its reports so that when people share links, they can see what that is. That's a good idea. I don't often commend The Guardian, but I do think that's a good move. In this era of disinformation, it's important that people know context. Nevertheless, this is a problem that's ongoing. And there's other examples. The Taliban using children as suicide bombers, for example. Now, in relation to the pictures, these were at gay pride events, like I say, and this opens up a lot of debate points. So let me just be crystal clear. I think anyone who says LGBT people equals predators, that's nonsense. You get predators in the straight community as well. Two free thinking gay men cannot be compared to paedophiles. I mean, how does that explain straight paedophiles, for example, male paedophiles attracted to little girls? It doesn't. So that should be immediately clarified. Anyone who attempts to link automatically predators and paedophiles with the gay community, that is inflammatory and wrong. But there is no question about it that there is something fundamentally wrong with these pictures. And I don't think they're photoshopped or anything. I think they're authentic pictures. In fact, I've seen videos of them. I think gay pride organisers need to be very careful about tolerating this sort of thing, because among other things, it will give ammo to those who say, "Oh, look, It sees gay perverts, which is wrong. It's inflammatory. I mean, it's wrong to say that, to automatically equate that. But I think it is deeply inappropriate in any context, gay or straight, to sexualize children. Now, what the photos are showing are these young boys in what can only be described as drag outfits in sexually suggestive dances in the way that adults would behave. At least one of these young boys clearly looks very uncomfortable, which suggests to me that he's been coerced into it. And I do think there is a segment of the LGBT um, community that are pushing this debate about getting young children to come out from a very early age. I think there's very serious issues going on around so called trans children and some of the methods that are being used. I think that young children who are confused about their sexual identity need therapy. I am very concerned about this knee jerk reaction some parents have of immediately thinking, oh, they need gender reassignment. I mean, children, for goodness sake. I have fundamental concerns about that, and I'm far from the only one. So I have no time for any sort of sexualization of children, whether it be at a gay pride event, whether it be in straight communities, in any context. I mean, for example, I would make the same analogy with so called beauty contests where 5-year-olds are dressed up as beauty queens. I have a lot of misgivings about that, especially when it's done when they make them wear slutty little dresses and so on. It's just incredibly. Some people will say, "Oh, the only pervert is those who criticize it." No, if you're a responsible adult, you don't get little girls to dress up like that. Simple as that. There's just certain things that shouldn't be done. It's just common sense. So I do think the Pride organisers can't really turn around and complain about, oh, you can't link this, you can't link the gay community with predatory behaviour if they're not taking responsibility and saying, no, we don't want that as part of our event. So let me extend this to the schools debate that's been going on in Birmingham. A lot of Muslim parents have been very angry about the inclusion of gay rights being taught in the curriculum in primary schools. Uh, I have some issues with the protesters, and this is why. Firstly, hypocrisy. Many of these Muslim parents would be the first to scream Islamophobia when they feel that they're being discriminated against. Yet they seem to want to deny the very teaching of the fact that there are gay people in society. The very teaching saying that there are people in society who like other men or like other women. They seem to be against the very idea of telling children that fact. Now, I've looked at the textbooks that are being used. I don't see anything to indicate that they're over the top, or they are overly sexualized. And if they were, I would take issue with that. But I don't think they are. It's simply showing pictures of like um, little Dave likes other boys. It's not showing any nudity. It's not showing overt sexuality, at least from what I've seen. Maybe I haven't seen everything. Maybe if some of them are showing that, maybe there's an issue at hand. I also don't like the tactics. Um, there's kind of a bullying mentality here of trying to hound teachers out of their job, surrounding schools, etc. There's an ugly aspect to that, and I don't like it. Um, they have a right to their opinion, but they need to understand that that sort of overbearing tactic doesn't look good. It looks like it's bullying. It looks like they're trying to hound teachers out of their job. Now, are they honestly going to say that there should be absolutely no education for children whatsoever in a society where there are gay people, where there are bisexual people, transgender people? Are they honestly going to say that children should be totally left ignorant about that? Because that's ridiculous. I agree with not exposing children to overt, you know, sexuality or pornography or anything like that, but the basic idea, teaching children to tolerate other lifestyles, to tolerate other people, surely is a good thing because that's promoting an anti bullying message. It's promoting tolerance. Now, it seems a bit hypocritical for me for these Muslim parents to then say, "Oh, you're Islamophobic. We're being picked on," and yet they seem to want to go against, simply teaching children that there are gay people in society. And a lot of these parents claim they're not homophobic, and yet the whole point of these lessons is to prevent homophobia. So why would they have an issue with that? It's not like they're forcing children to dress up and so on. Now, that having been said, um, I do think there is a risk with the ever increasing terminology around LGBT. Then, when we start seeing LGBTQI plus QA, etc., 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 and I'm not even exaggerating, there are established circles that are now starting to use these extended terms for politically correct reasons. I go up to LGBT. That's where I draw the line. Beyond that, I think is nonsense. It's pseudoscience. It's just getting to the point. I mean, for one thing, it's practically difficult to say. It's a mouthful. That makes communication difficult. If you're in a long debate about something, how can you practically, every 5 minutes it's brought up, LGBTQIA plus, or whatever it is, it just makes basic conversation awkward. Um, the sheer linguistics of it awkward. But even leaving that aside, this is what I'm concerned about. I do think that predators will find this increasing terminology as a gateway to get into the movement. And that doesn't mean that they are gay. Many predators are straight, but they will use it as an excuse to be accepted. And there have been efforts by paedophile groups in some parts of Western Europe to form political parties. I think it was the Netherlands, to try and get normalized. I don't believe that exploitation of children should ever be normalized. I've been seeing debates with Amos Yee. He is a young Singaporean activist, and a lot of people, including myself, were initially sympathetic to him because he was issued a very harsh prison sentence for offensive remarks. And at the time, a lot of people had said, well, it's freedom of expression. But his attitude about paedophilia is dead wrong, and he needs to be robustly challenged on it. The things he's coming out with is insane. The idea that children can consent is absolutely ignorant in the extreme. It doesn't matter if a child says yes. A child does not have the cognitive development to know what they're saying, to understand the ramifications of that. And for Amos Yee to come out and say that paedophilia should be, I mean, this guy actually said penetration should be legal from 7 upwards. So there are people out there who are making serious efforts to try and get this normalized, legalized. This has got nothing to do with tolerance. It's about protecting children. And we know as a fact, child victims of sexual abuse are traumatized by it for years. That is just a fact, a verifiable fact. And the argument that just looking at material is harmless is also nonsense, because looking at it, whilst maybe not as serious as the act itself, is still fueling that filthy industry. It's still giving a demand. It's fueling a corrupt industry. I see it as no different from rich cocaine users fueling the drug trade. Um, so I guess what I'm saying is there's kind of two extremes. On one hand, there's the Islamists, who, if they had their way, would throw gay people off buildings and have them severely punished under Sharia. And we know what happens to gay people in Islamic states. It's barbaric. It's severe human rights abuses in places like Chechnya, Iran, and elsewhere. That's barbaric. But I also think in the West, we are getting to a point now where it's going too far in pandering to certain aspects of the LGBT movement. I say certain aspects because I don't believe that every gay person is okay with children dressing up in drag. In fact, I can figure many gay people in my social circles who would be dead set against it. That's another reason why it's wrong because it's going to give the false premise that it represents the entire LGBT community, and it doesn't. The truth of the matter is, there's real schisms going on in the LGBT community, and I imagine this is one of them. But Pride organisers need to make it crystal clear that they're not okay with this. Because if they're just blasé and they say, oh, well, we don't really agree, but it's just another lifestyle, then they can't really complain when it's criticised and when they're linked into it. After all, they are the organisers. I mean, in one of the pictures, the little boy clearly looks uncomfortable. I'd put a link, but it's a Facebook post, so I'm not really sure how to. If I could get an external link, I'll try and do that. But I'm going to round this up soon. But where Islamists are wrong is saying, oh, well, Islam is the answer, as if sexual abuse of children doesn't happen in Islamic states. I mean, this guy's been throwing out propaganda for weeks now, and he keeps coming up with these social problems. Another one was sexual harassment of women in nightclubs, as if sexual harassment of women never happens in Islamic countries. It's this duality of thinking that Islamists have, this black and white mentality: Islam good, non-Islam bad, that makes them so pathetic and so sectarian and so toxic. Um, it's perfectly compatible to be against religious extremism and against religious dogma, whilst also recognizing that actually there is troubling trends that are going on with certain LGBT demands, particularly with the T part. For example, in Canada, or maybe it was New York State, it was somewhere that so called progressive politics, where people would actually be charged with hate crime if they use the wrong pronoun. In Brighton, here in the UK, children were encouraged to wear dresses in school, boys, and so on. And we have got movements in the UK to basically say that there is absolutely no side effects of children transitioning, and that is just dishonest. There's significant side effects from the hormone treatment, among other things. I personally am of the view that if a child is seriously confused about their sexual identity, they need therapy. If they're being bullied, the bullies need to be punished. Um, but I think there are too many parents that are caving into this partly to kind of accommodate their own worldview and their own politics. And I think that could be detrimental to the child's health. Biology does not discriminate. Biology is not bigotry. And whilst my view on adult transgender people is broadly one of tolerance, I also think that there is a lot of the narrative needs to be challenged. For example, if someone was to cut off their arm, they would almost certainly be diagnosed with some sort of serious mental health problem. Yet, if someone wants to cut off their penis, that's normal and they're brave and independent, and that's great. When Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, gets named Woman of the Year ahead of brave women activists in countries like Iran and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Afghanistan who are risking their lives for women's rights, true feminists, and Caitlyn Jenner gets named one of Woman of the Year, there is something fundamentally wrong with that. So anyway, I've encompassed a lot of different ideas in this. Um, if you're LGBT and you're thinking, oh, homophobe, bigot, then you haven't listened to what I've said. Because I've been very clear that you can't just associate predatory behavior with gay people. Predatory behavior can be gay or straight. That's not dependent on sexual orientation. But where these things do happen in pride events, and to be fair, most pride events it doesn't happen. Although I would say also, whilst I support adults' right to do it, I don't think that wearing bondage and two men whipping each other in public is necessarily the best poster for gay rights. Because that will give a country like Uganda just ammo to say, oh, look at how degenerate this is. I really don't. That's a side of pride events I don't particularly care for. I think it's overly sexualized. Where is the posters at pride events calling out persecution of gay people across the world? Where is the campaigns for human rights? It seems to just be overly obsessed by sexuality, and I think that's counterproductive and just lends to negative stereotypes. Right, round it up. Let me know your thoughts.